Okay, so now let us. Uh, Here we go. Du-du-du-du. Bing! Maybe let's turn the opacity on this down some. Yes. So now let's look. How did we do? Well, we definitely idealized her some. We accentuated the pose a little bit. I shortened the length of the torso and expanded the length of the legs. That was part of the idealization process. I made the pose a little more extreme. But if you look where her head is and where her foot is, where her weight is, that's not too bad. Not too terrible. I shortened the arm too much. That's funny. And the other arm is too long. Yeah, I knew it. Okay, so if we, that's so funny. I kind of want to like go over my drawing rather than the actual figure, but let's stick with what I did last time. So if we look at the process, so I kind of always start with the shoulder line. That's just I don't know. I don't know why exactly, but that's just kind of what I do. It's like an anchor point for me for whatever reason. I'm not sure. I don't even think I was ever taught that or anybody said anything about doing that, but it's just a place to start for me. And then I don't. I usually come back and do this later, but it's not exactly where the clavicles are. The clavicles come down before. It's more like a midway point between where the trapezius comes up and where the clavicles come down, right? So you can see those coming up, those coming down. So it's like a general line of like where the shoulders are, and then like the line of action sort of hangs off of that. So the line of action comes down from there, and I kind of pulled this out more in mine. But so line of action comes down off of there, which again kind of comes down this leg. And then from there I started to pull in the lines of the torso. Which I usually just kind of like that oval system. I kind of you can kind of see the oval comes here, but I was supposed to do that more towards the end. But this comes out more because of the muscles. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. I'm looking at, okay, so the lats back here, you can see it coming out there, so that it comes down. And then I usually find this waistline around where the belly button is. But with women, you kind of have to pull up higher because really any woman with a decent set of hips, that line starts higher than that. It starts up at the bottom of the rib cage because then things start coming out up there, see? And then with some women, you get the widest point of the hips here at the height at the up here by the pelvis, and then in some women, like this woman, you get the widest point just below the hips, the where the thighs begin. That's where her widest point is. Men are kind of like straight down, with a little bit of stuff going on. But they can get a little wider if they have big muscular legs, or not if they have skinny legs. There's different little things going on, but it's kind of different because of how we were evolved. If you believe in evolution. No way, that's ridiculous. Okay, so this isn't really too visible on her, but just food for thought. So then, so I do this leg first, right? And there's that, the arch of the inner foot. You can sort of see with her leg, she has strong lines in her foot there that come down. Her second toe might be longer than her first toe. They're about even. A lot of times it's just safest to make them even. So I drew this right leg first, because that line of action comes straight down here, right? Comes straight down, and then put in this leg. And then I drew this the left leg in relation to the first leg, because I'm like, okay, so now that I have the right leg where the majority of her weight is, I could draw the left leg in relation to that, because I need to know, okay, her toe here was supposed to be, about where the heel was on the first foot, which I didn't get right, by the way. I didn't. I definitely saw this line coming down, which crosses, from the top of the foot here, and then all the way down to where the big toe is. So, doing the lines like I talk about, this really should have come across to, about where the arch begins. But I had mine further down. So that was a boo-boo. That was a no-no. That was a mistake. Boo, his. Bad drawing. Now, you realize that that's that way because the camera captures things in perspective, right? So the camera, from what I can see, it looks like the camera is placed about here, right? So the horizon line is going to be, the vanishing point is going to be somewhere around her belly button. Might even be lower. because you can tell here, like if we put a line here, that, all right, let me get rid of these lines. But you can tell here that you've got, yeah, it's not that extreme. It can't be that extreme. It's got to be something more like this, so that maybe the horizon line's somewhere here, right? Maybe it is up by the belly button. So let's say it's up by the belly button. Heck, let's do this. All right, why can't I think all of a sudden? Oh, wait. There. Ruler, frame, 1 point perspective. Okay, so now let's just boink. Right? Oh. Yep. You're using the perspective grid in Clip Studio Paint. You have to be careful, because if you're close to a 90-degree line, if you're close to a vertical or straight horizontal line, sometimes it will default to the straight line. See how I'm getting straight parallel lines there instead of the perspective lines. So you have to make sure you err on the side of going too far up. Whoop, now it defaulted to the straight vertical. So see, this way you get your lines. Because while you're in your perspective ruler, you can still draw straight horizontal and vertical lines, which is a wonderful help. So that's my whole point here was that by showing you basically the perspective that the camera captured, because the camera always captures perspective, you have to understand space, because by understanding space, you understand why this foot gets foreshortened, why this foot, by having her foot back, by having this toe being a foot back so that it's touching where her heel is there, you start to understand why it's short. Because it's if we look in space here, right? So like on a perspective grid, this toe is back where that heel is, and so therefore it's back in space. No, I'm busy. Go away. So, what the?
It's me. It's your phone. Someone's trying to reach ya.
I'm still busy. Okay, so um, so by understanding where you are in space, by understanding the perspective of any particular drawing, it helps you to understand why things are foreshortened to the point where they are. It's always good to understand, to be able to look at any photograph or anything you're trying to draw. Anytime you're doing storytelling and you're putting figures in space, it's always good to know the perspective. Whether you just put it on a rough layer or whether you know it in your head or whatever, because that helps you understand just how much or why things need to be foreshortened, and how things need to be in relationship, especially like multiple people in a panel. It helps you know, oh, okay, this is how big this person should be in relation to that person. It helps you know where the ground is, so you make sure everyone looks like they're on the ground together. I'll go into that and another thing at a later time. So anyway, whoops. Okay, I can't do my regular drawing, so I'm going to get rid of that perspective grid, and now I can go back and. So now I was figuring out the right angle that this arm comes down. I bump out a little bit for that forearm. Get this bit there. And I drew my arm humongous, and then I tried to correct it, and I made it too small. And then, of course, we get this going on. You get a nice sharp bump where the shoulder starts, but then it's pretty smooth on this side. So, the more time you spend trying to indicate musculature, the less feminine it's going to look. Now, if the woman needs to have that musculature, then she needs to have it. So, that's something you have to take into account. But traditionally speaking, that's something to keep in mind. All right, so before I did all this, really, I knew that I went ahead and did this angle, what I thought it would be, but then, remember, I started doing this because I wanted to see I wanted to make sure the hand and the arm were going to meet up properly. Blar, blar, blar. Now, these strong muscles that come up on the side of the neck, it's important to be mindful of the fact that the one, okay, so the one that's on this side of the head comes down and connects to where the clavicle ends down here on the same side of the head. And then one that starts on this side goes around to the other side of the head. They don't just go willy-nilly wherever or nowhere. They go somewhere specific. But you don't really... This one's at rest. It's not being used, so you don't really, you don't see it. So, yeah. Yep. Okay, so that's that. So that's the main thought process there. Oh, that's funny. I totally left that out. Right. So then I come back in at the end here, and I did add this stuff. Right on. You can see a little bit of, just the tiniest indication of rib cage. You can see a little bit over here. But this one coming down. So. See if I can get this one to end the way I wanted the other one to end. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, there you go. All right, so there you go. Thought process. Yeah. On to the next one. Like and subscribe, something like that. Yeah. Thanks for being here. See you later.